Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
I'm Bob Scarborough.
And we are
the FAIRtax Guys.
We did that Ron Malero style, and I used to have, we would sit side by side and record these things. We had one of these between. Of course, one time we picked it up backwards and it went on upside down.
Right. Red goes on top.
Yes, it does.
Red goes on top.
And I have, I brought Fat Albert.
Yeah,
the way
where
up
is
here
it?
from Florida. It is in my hotel room. I forgot to bring it with me this morning. It was dark in there. I was trying not to wake the wife up, so I didn't turn the lights on. I didn't see it sitting there, and of course, if I didn't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind, and I just didn't bring Fat Albert.
It's too bad that the tax code can't be out of sight, out of mind.
I wish we could do that. Oh, but first order of business.
We got to let people know what's going on here.
What's going on? I have a message for the sales manager here at the radio station.
Okay, go ahead.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, I'll get a message on my phone. Too bad I left it in the other room.
He's a big Tennessee fan, and of course, by the time the video stream audience sees this, that'll be last week's game. But
that's right.
Alabama took Tennessee out in pretty handy fashion last night. So
that's great. Well, we are live at WTOB in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and our telephone number here for questions this morning is 336-761-1380, and we're videotaping this so the rest of the network will see it, and those on YouTube and Rumble and on the show's Facebook page will see the program in a couple of weeks, maybe. Who knows when?
This, I believe, I've got it scheduled to stream on the 28th. I think that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Whenever that is.
Yeah, somewhere in the near future.
But I tell you, we're going to kind of shake things up a little bit here, because you've got the big computer.
That's right.
And this doesn't work too good on my phone, so you get to do the Congress.gov segment for this show. You have never done that before,
that's right.
I don't think.
Hey, listen here now. Where's your cheer wine? Did you leave that in the hotel room, too?
I didn't bring any cheer wine. You can't bring stuff like that through the TSA checkpoint.
Of course not. Of course not. See, what happens on the regular program is Bob P. ends up taking care of business, and then all of a sudden you hear this, and the cheer wine flows.
Indeed.
In Ocala. Okay, so what we do is we go to Congress.gov every week. We type in refining code, like Internal Revenue Code in quotations. We go to legislation, and then we look for the newest bills being introduced into the Internal Revenue Code.
And they're still doing that even during the shutdown.
Hey, let me tell you, the best time to get work done is when nobody's around. You know what I mean?
What have we on the agenda today?
H.R. 5776 to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to provide a tax credit for layer operation efficiency equipment.
Another tax credit, and for what?
Tax credit for layer operation efficiency equipment. For those of you in TV land,
do you have any idea what that is?
Well, I'm getting ready to find out. If I can ask Dr. Google here, Professor Google, what that's all about. This is from Nicole Maliatakis, representative from New York District 11. And this was just a couple of days ago. They did this on the way out for the weekend, and it already has 2 co-sponsors.
Wow. So
there you go. Moving on down to the next one here, I'm looking for like what you do, and
I usually look at these ahead of time before we go on the air. We're doing this live. We're winging this as we go.
For those of you who are interested in calling and asking a question about the FAIRtax, it's 336-761-1380. We'll break in and make the call. You had said you wanted to make sure that we just looked at Ways and Means, correct?
It shows the committees that each bill is assigned to. So something affecting the actual tax code will be assigned to the House Ways and Means Committee on the House side, or the Finance Committee on the Senate side. So you can see which bills get assigned to those committees, and those are the ones that are likely actually trying to change the tax code.
And I'm trying to figure out now, there's some of these that we've done recently. I think the one that we just read was probably the newest one.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten to that one yet, but we'll.
Battery Fire Prevention Act. Did you talk about that the other day?
I don't think so, no.
From Donald Norcross, representative from New Jersey, District 1, introduced with no information on what that does. Battery Fire Prevention Act.
Yeah, sometimes you got to click on the bill number.
Take them out of the machine.
And then you get another page. You can open up text if there's text there.
Correct.
So what does battery fire prevention have to do with collecting revenue for the government?
Well, and that's the big question that everybody asks. I would get up in the middle of the night and I ponder these things in quiet concern. I'm just curious as to, to what we would be, what this country would be like, what our representatives would end up doing if and when, and we know that it is going to happen, when the fair tax is enacted, H.R. 25. Been there since 1999, still moving around.
Well, I guess all the lobbyists will just have to find something else to lobby about.
And our representatives who spend all this time and their staff coming up with Battery Fire Prevention Act and the Emergency Relief for Federal Workers Act is another one.
It's probably a tax credit of some kind.
Yeah, well, Donald Byer, Democrat representative from Virginia, District 8, the opportunity is for emergency relief for federal workers. I guess they're concerned that the shutdown is causing consternation for those not getting paid, although there are others, not necessarily our fight, that could end up being furloughed or retired completely.
As long as the air traffic controllers are still getting paid and I can get home without a problem.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'm looking here too. I'm looking at the dates. A lot of these are a couple of weeks old, so I think we probably have already covered a considerable number of these. There's a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to allow the deduction under Section 199A, and we did this one the other day, to apply for qualified BDC interest dividends in the same manner as the right dividends.
I do remember that. Of course, we're way ahead on our recording schedule because I'm going to Hawaii next month. And so the thing that we recorded a week or so ago referring to that is actually going to stream later than this program is going to stream.
It's a jumbled mess. It's like Big Fat Albert.
It's like the tax code, and we just need to rip it all out by the roots and replace it with a fair tax. And I do not understand why that hasn't happened. Well, I do too, because the lobbyists and the Congress critters are profiting handsomely from the current tax code. But if we had a tax system that was so simple and so easy a fifth grader could understand it, a second that would have no tax returns whatsoever, you would never have to tell the government what you make and how you made it and how much you spent, how much you gave to your church, how much you spent on medical care, how much you spent. None of the government's business. That really isn't, but they make you tell them anyway. So we need a tax system where that is no longer the case. The government does not get your personal information, where it can't be hacked, it can't be stolen, can't be stuff like that. And then you get your entire paycheck, no withholding, no payroll taxes.
It's an instant raise.
Instant raise for sure. It doesn't cost your boss anything else. You get a tax refund every month so that the taxes you pay on your spending up to the poverty level for your basic necessities, tax-free. You don't take a dime out of your own pocket until your spending exceeds that level and you've satisfied your basic necessities. You fed your family before you fed the government. Why do we not have the tax code out by the roots and replaced with a fair tax yet? Because I guess there's just not enough people putting pressure on the Congress critters because they want to keep the system that's profiting them, not us.
Absolutely the way it is. FAIRtax.org is the main website for the Americans for Fair Taxation organization, the group of volunteers behind the fair tax and keeping it in front of the public. If you go on there, there's a Get Involved tab. As you go to navigate through the website, there's information about state initiatives. There's a candidate pledge that's on there, and that's significant because you can take action today and see who in your. Of course, we're getting close to. Heck, we might have already had the election by the time this program airs.
As soon as one election is over, the election season for the next one starts.
Absolutely,
so we're good.
FAIRtax Power Radio today, live from WTOB in Winston-Salem. The two Bobs, Bob P. and Bob S. And so that candidate pledge is significant because it puts a piece of paper under, could be a candidate for office that you've talked to, and you said, hey, look, this is something you might find significant. It might be a good thing to run on. As you talk to people, who are running for office or considering, begin the conversation now and say, hey, look, this is a bill that's in the House of Representatives, and it would be great if you would consider it. You think it would be significant to your success in getting elected.
Indeed, but Americans for Fair Taxation and a lot of the state-level fair tax organizations as well, they are nonprofits, 501c3, C4, that are prohibited by law from endorsing candidates.
Correct.
We can't try to get people to vote for or against any particular candidate, but we can educate people on we will make a list on the fairtax.org website of the candidates who have signed the Fair Tax Pledge, and we can put that little piece of information out there.
Right, education.
That's education and not endorsement, so we can do that. And of course, if you can get a local candidate that's running in your congressional district to sign the pledge, you can go down there to fairtax.org and download a hard copy of the thing to take it to them and just see if they'll sign it. If you can get video of them, John Gaver used to be the world's best at getting candidates to sign the thing, and he would take his video camera and he would record them actually signing the pledge. He'd send the video. We'd put it on the FAIRtax Power Radio show sometime when they would do that. But that would be a nice thing you can do to get involved and help get rid of the income tax and replace it with a fair tax. And what are you looking at, sir?
Well, I'm looking at the FAIRtax Facebook page, and Randy Fisher posted this a couple of days ago, and kudos to Randy because he's up with the chickens, putting little missives out on Facebook and other social media, X and so on. He has one. 2 members of the FAIRtax Advisory Board are on the FAIRtax. I mean, like big. Everybody. There's a whole list of the Board of Advisors. One of them is Mike Huckabee. The other is Stephen Moore. And we always say this on the show. It would be like rocket fuel for the economy.
Absolutely.
And you have to think about what those things entail. The challenges that are befalling our country right now, especially with the $37 or so trillion deficit, there has to be some sort of control put on Congress. Some people say Convention of States, to limit terms. There's all manner of levers that need to be changed in how our government operates at that level. Of course, if we get more involved and engaged, and I'm speaking specifically of the fair tax, we get more involved and engaged, and by organically lifting it into public discussion a little bit more than where we may find ourselves sometimes. I think people get used to, because with the income tax, we've not experienced the the time when the country was not under an income tax, and so we say, well, this is the way it is, and this is what we have to work with. So, so that's how we do it, and the dedication that you've made, and our dear friend Ron Molero, in producing this program, we're excited that the 500th episode is just around the corner for that.
Yeah, that will be coming up on December 2nd, the first Tuesday in December. I've already recorded that with Steve Hayes and Jade Wally. That will stream a couple of weeks after this one. But you're talking about rocket fuel for the economy. People ask, how does that happen? Well, it's really kind of a two-pronged thing. One, of course, is something you talk about all the time. The fair tax does not tax saving and investment. The fair tax applies only to the retail purchase of new goods and services. So if you buy a stock for $100 and sell it for $150, there is no capital gains tax on the profit you make. There is no tax on the dividends you receive. There's no tax on any kind of investment income. So when you are not penalizing savings and investment, you are helping the economy for sure. And also, when you bring the corporate tax rate down to zero, as the fair tax will do, you talk about international corporations, all of the American companies and jobs that have flown overseas over the past decade, they will come flying back to the United States when the companies just simply don't have to deal with a corporate income tax. So that is going to bring jobs, And so that's how the FAIRtax is rocket fuel for the economy, if anybody ever asked you.
Absolutely. And those folks that may be working 2 jobs, maybe a single mom or dad taking care of a few kids, and all of a sudden you've got an opportunity to see that paycheck with a little bit more money on the net side. At the end of the day, when the FAIRtax is passed, that whole federal line goes away. And especially the payroll tax.
I just edited a chairman's report that Jade Wally wrote that's going to be released in a couple of weeks, I think, talking about how his daughter is working for a paycheck when she's home from college for the summer, and she looks at her pay. It says if she just looks at her direct deposit in the bank, she's fine. But if she looks at her pay stub and sees how much the government took away from her before she got it, and that makes her mad. And of course, one of the really nasty ones is that Social Security payroll tax. A lot of things. It's regressive. It applies to everybody. The first dollar you earn, there's no standard deduction. The poor worker or low-income workers pay the same rate as the higher-income workers. Textbook definition of regressive. And a lot of people, you can pay into Social Security over and over and over again. And if God forbid something happens to you, and you don't live long enough to collect any benefits, guess what? They're gone. They don't go to your heirs. So that is just not a good idea to have that particular payroll tax siphoning your money away before you even get it. And the FAIRtax gets rid of the payroll tax, but at the same time continues to fund Social Security and Medicare on a wider tax base than it is now. Currently, the only people paying into those systems are the ones working for a paycheck. And with the FAIRtax,
and that are reporting their income.
and that are reporting their income, yeah. But with the FAIRtax, the people who support Social Security and Medicare, that tax base extends to everybody who buys things, or at least whose spending is above the poverty level.
Right, and we know that folks usually throw a stick in the spoke of the FAIRtax every once in a while to trip everybody up by saying it's going to hurt the poor. The poor are going to feel the pinch of all this extra taxation, and we always very calmly remind them that the tax
takes away the most regressive taxes on the federal book. Those payroll taxes, which even if you don't make enough income to pay the income tax, you are still paying that on every dollar you make. And it adds up to like 7.65%, if I remember correctly, between the Social Security and the Medicare tax together.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter how much you make or how little you make, you pay that tax before you buy milk for the baby, before you buy bread for your family. That is just wrong, which is why we have been going on for almost 10 years on this program now, trying to convince people to lean on their legislators and lean on the media people if you can, and make people aware of the fact that doesn't have to be this way. We can have a tax system that is completely anonymous, requires no record keeping, requires no forms of any kind, no instructions. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of pages of just instructions.
That's right.
Your favorite
Publication 17.
Your favorite Publication 17.
I have it on the back of the toilet, actually.
If you haven't read Publication 17, you need to go online, pull down the PDF.
Some crazy stuff.
And take, of course, it's like 300 pages long. Of course, our favorite provision in Publication 17 has to do with stolen property.
That's right. You borrow your neighbor's lawnmower and it's in your shed at the end of the year and it's January 1st of the next year, and if you haven't reported it on your previous year's taxes.
You have to report the fair market value of stuff you steal on your tax
borrow and don't return. I guess that could be stealing.
I don't think you could come up with a crazier tax system than what we've got if you tried.
Yes, and your tax dollars are actually,
excuse me.
God bless you. Was that a sneeze, cough, or both combination?
That was more of a cough than a sneeze, sorry. But
our tax dollars are actually paying to have someone sit down and cook this stuff up. Well, we got to get that money from those drug dealers.
Oh, mercy sakes.
We're going to need to, you need some water?
No, we need a phone call here. What's the number again?
336-761-1380. I'll step out of the room and make the call if you'd like.
No, thank you. we can do.
What a great morning here in Winston-Salem. Back to the 7.65 payroll tax.
Yeah, go ahead.
The employer pays the other half of that, so you end up with 15.3% that comes. And think of what if he was a benevolent employer and he said, okay, well, now that the FAIRtax has come into play and I have 7.65% back into my bank that I don't have to spend giving it to the government on your behalf. I'll give it to you.
Indeed. And I tell you what, when you're looking for people with job skills, computer programmers or, folks who do spreadsheets and folks like that, and there is competition for people with high skill level, guess what? Those folks are going to get that because there's going to be competition among the industries to get the best people. And how do you get the best people? You offer them the best deal.
That's right.
If it no longer costs me 7.65% of what I'm paying you to begin with, then I can give it to you so you don't go work for my competitor.
One of the recent chairman's reports, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you see these.
Yeah, I get advanced copies of them.
No tax on tips. Simple until Congress gets involved.
Yes, I remember that one. I don't remember all the points that were made in that.
Right.
Steve's a very, very intelligent guy. I just kind of help him along with kind of improve the readability of what he writes on there sometimes. But yeah, it's crazy. You say no tax on tips or no tax on overtime or no tax on Social Security benefits. And that sounds like a pretty straightforward kind of thing. But the bill that comes out of Congress to implement that,
I tell you, I worry about it.
It's not as straightforward as you would think it could and should be.
And this is another point to make, too, during the election cycle that's upcoming. Find people that are running, and you may want to run yourself or encourage someone that you know that thinks like you do on the FAIRtax, and let them run on the FAIRtax. Let them be at the platform. And even if they don't win the first go-round, they've gotten on in front of the public. They're at the debates, they're at the community meetings, they're doing all of the, kissing the babies and shaking the hands of the, petting zoo at the farm and all that. They are getting the word out. They're exposing, and you can do the same thing too. We always like to talk about the scrolling banner and all of the things that are on the FAIRtax store that you can get and use to get the word out. Now is the time to get engaged in the conversation. If it's something that's important to you, and we hope that it is, if you are listening today, that you'll be able to take a step forward and put your concern about our country's finances into the public discussion.
Yeah, you get to work really good. Jim Bennett will write about you in Grassroots Corner.
That's right.
He does a weekly Grassroots Corner highlighting the efforts of various FAIRtax volunteers across the country. I kind of get an advanced copy of that one as well, but that'll be pretty cool. But we have just simply got to get across the evasion of the income tax is incredible. $1 trillion a year that's owed but not collected. And that really kind of surprises me as well, that the Congress critters are willing to leave that kind of money on the table by fiercely defending a tax system that allows that kind of illegal evasion to continue. And the studies have shown the FAIRtax, if you get rid of the income tax, replace it with a FAIRtax, that evasion goes down by over 90%. I mean, how do you evade a tax that's part of the price of the things you buy?
Exactly.
It's really hard to do. Somebody will figure out a way to do something.
Right.
I mean, I'll give them that much. Wherever there's a tax, there's going to be somebody that tries to find a way around it. But the ways around the FAIRtax are minuscule compared to the scope and the ways around the ways around the income tax.
Oh my
All
goodness.
that takes is one person that feels like they're trying to thwart a thief. If you're taking the fruits of somebody's labor, that's almost like stealing from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that they will justify cheating on their income tax in that level. But that all goes away with the FAIRtax, and you get everything that we're supposed to have. I would imagine $1 trillion more in the federal treasury.
What would they wouldn't know what to do with that money.
Well, they would.
Well, they'd spend
it on something for sure.
And the thing is immediately you have to hold. And this is another fight. It's not the fight of the FAIRtax organization. This is the fight that holds the feet of the legislators to the fire to pay down that deficit. Because you go from 155 million taxpayers to 300 million or more. You have international travelers. You got the underground economy that's cash. Everybody's going to go buy something at some point in time, and that's where the tax that goes to the Treasury would generate from. So you have folks that are not necessarily participating in the funding of the Treasury would end up funding the Treasury. It'd be a little bit more on somebody that's traveling through. It'd be a little bit more on the drug dealer. Not to mention the guy that kept the lawnmower over the end of the year. I mean the lunacy that's in part of the tax code. It's absolutely amazes me every time I pick up publication 17.
Again, you could not take a clean sheet of paper and design a more fraud-prone, more error-prone, more invasive, more intrusive, more complicated tax system than we currently have. Because it has been, in effect since 1913. So
Right.
The tax code we have at the moment is the result of over a century's worth of wrangling back and forth between the political parties, because one party will control the government and they'll change the tax code to their liking. Then control switches to the other side of the aisle and they change the tax code to their liking. So you've got this huge conglomeration of competing and conflicting ideas and conflicting priorities and whatnot. And it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And so that's some people just think it's just too big to get rid of, but I know better. We can replace the entire shooting match with the fair tax, and the quicker that happens, the better it's going to be.
When we go to Congress.gov every week, I'm always amazed at how many of the presentments have "and for other purposes."
Yes, your
and
favorite.
Can you imagine? I mean, think about, yes, one of my favorite, other than the fact that the fair tax encourages saving and investment. And for other purposes. Can you imagine? Okay, so what does that mean? Future regulations. The clause grants the Treasury and the Internal Revenue Service the authority to create further interpretive regulations, like the lawnmower.
Yeah, we got like 80,000 pages worth.
It can encompass other tax-related items that are considered part of the overall legislative package, but may not be the primary focus of the bill. So what do you got, a staff member that's going to sit there and go, wait a minute, I think we have an "and for other purposes" in this other bill over here, and we can go through and,
So how many times, though, do you see the title of a bill and you dig into it and that the title and what it actually does is not even close to doing the same thing?
Oh, my goodness, and for other purposes. Well, the only purpose for the fair tax is to get rid of the income tax, close down the Internal Revenue Service, maybe make that a museum of forgotten regulations or something, because imagine what life would be like from a businessman's perspective if you didn't have compliance to take care of, if you didn't have to chase paper, if you weren't beholden to proving that you only made such a certain amount of money, and the amount of time that you and other people that are working in your organization spend on that compliance. Could imagine what it would be like. You would unleash your brain power to innovate, to hire good people, to continue to take care of the people that are working in your company and on your dream, and it goes even beyond that.
Yeah, let's do to the Internal Revenue Service headquarters the same thing they did to Alcatraz, make it a national park or something.
That would be funny. I don't know. That would be funny. IRS would have to think what that acronym could be made into. Well, in our final minute, we want to remind people that you can get involved in the fair tax. You go to fairtax.org, join the 1040 Club. We are all volunteers. There's no salaries. There are expenses of running things like the website and some advocacy that goes on, but for the most part, it's up to you to help. And the best way you can help, even beyond the 1040 Club, is let people know, is say a prayer for the country, and make sure that that we are fair-minded and diligent in our efforts to promote a better way to collect revenue for the Treasury.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, is our final minute up yet? We got to head out of here in a second.
Just about. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, about
I was just going to...
10 seconds.
Well, we've got our regular sign-off we normally do.
Oh, that's right.
We will catch you same time, same channel on the FAIRtax Power Radio next week. Till we meet again, I'm Bob Paxton.
I'm Bob Scarborough.
We are the FAIRtax Guys, reminding you the fair tax is the only truly fair tax, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
So, how much will I bring home?
Go ahead.
How much do you make? We'll just say 40,000. Okay, keep it simple, throw out the deductions, all that stuff. So, you got your 40K, right? Now the first 8,000 is going to be taxed at 10%. The 8 to 33,000 is going to be taxed at 15%. And the 33 to 40, of course, is 25%. So that brings your total to $6,345.
Okay, so the average is what?
16%. Okay, and then on top of that, you got Medicare, which is 1.5%, and then of course your Social Security, which is 6.2%. So actually, your new total is $9,405.
Which is
23.65%. You're getting it. You're getting it. Don't even get me started on what the boss has to pay. He's got to pay a portion of your taxes as well, so you don't have to.
Right. And you?
Oh, you'd bring home every penny.